How do humans? Timothy here. And today I wanted to speak on another subject. Happens to be that I'm speaking on two lies in a row. And I don't mean to be a negative Nelly. And I don't want to be here just to call out other things. But I guess, I don't know, I really love truth. And so I guess that's part of the motivation for doing this. I wanted to speak and defend. I think it's important to defend people that can't necessarily defend themselves. I think we'll all agree on that. And so I want to speak on behalf of a pretty huge lie today that many in the West allow to perpetuate that I have concerns about. And yeah, I just hope that you'll hear me out. I understand that the reaction for many people when they hear someone speaking about this is to call someone a Scrooge. And I feel like that is just the firewall defense in the software of the Matrix that's been, programmed into people. This the Agent Smith coming out when they go, you know, it's in a lot of lies that we hold in our culture and Western society. And I don't know whether it's intentionally been programmed into the software or it's just uh, a manifestation, like a product of the software itself. Like it builds itself and protects itself. Like that could be it. Or if there's actually intentionally people know where there are these cultural indoctrinations, and then they go, all right, how can we build like a a catchphrase into it that we can use to protect itself? Because that's just what it's in a lot of, like I said, it's in a lot of different cultural indoctrinations. There's always seems to be a label for someone or some, that steps outside of it. And we can think of many in recent times, but through all different stories, there's lots. So yeah, I wanted to speak on on the lie of Santa Claus today. I've thought about it for quite a few years and just never got round to actually doing it. And I thought, okay, this is the year I'll actually just put it out there, because I think that there are a lot of people that may even agree, but there's not really a voice for it. So I'll use my voice to share my thoughts. Um, I find it very interesting. I don't know what point should I start on here. I think I'll just go right into it. Basically, it's just we're lying to children. Number one, I don't think a lie is ever good or justified in any sense. And I say that as someone who probably, in many ways still lie to myself in certain areas and things like that. But I'm trying to seek the truth. To try and seek the truth about myself, about the world. And we can have these things like white lies, or we think it doesn't hurt the kid. And I guess that's kind of what I want to discuss and go into today. But fundamentally, like, as a parent who works a job which they have to spend time away from their family and away from their children to earn money, to buy gifts and presents for children, and then tell them that your hard-earned money and work and time away from the child to get the money to buy the gifts, what isn't actually from you, it's from a magical man, a chubby bearded guy who sneaks into your house once a year to put gifts there for certain, for the children, and it's not even you. You're giving away your power, your responsibility, whatever it is. You're giving that away, and at some stage, inevitably, they're going to find out that you lied to them the whole time, and they're going to lose some respect on some level for you and the credibility of your word, or or to perpetuate the lie that in the beginning you felt wasn't, it's just a harmless thing, it's just a bit of fun. But we don't know the level of the how deep the worm of the lie goes into the consciousness of the child, and we just think that, yeah, when they're teenagers they'll get over it and whatever. But it's, yes, it may just be one one other trauma in a ocean of bigger other traumas to deal with, but it's like, why even add one? And why it's, and clearly, when it is the highlight of the year for many children and many households, which doesn't necessarily have to be because of this one person, but this Santa Claus character is a huge part of that for children. Um, it just seems a bit silly to give that up, to give up your own power and the truth of your own, of what you earn in the family and the time away to earn money to support the family and buy them gifts, and you want to give it to this weird Claus character. Yeah. Um, fun, fundamentally, like, I actually believe it's more for the parent than it is even for the child. Like, it seems to me when I speak to parents about it, speak to my sister about it, speak to other parents who are for it, aren't for it, it's like, it seems to me that it's more for the parent than it is even for the child. For the parent, when they see the look in the child's face, when they believe this lie, they get something about the excitement in the child. They get something from seeing that excitement bubble up in the child. And it's like, it's, to me, it feels like the same emotion when someone has gossip and they're excited to share it with someone else who they know is going to love that gossip. That is, feels similar, like a similar flavor of excitement in the parent who's like, yeah, he comes down he's going, oh, you better be nice, otherwise you'll be on his naughty list. The naughty list. Like, what's that about? Like, what are we teaching children with this naughty list? Like, it's a manipulation tool, a tactic, again, for the parent, not for the child. It's for the parent, a way for them to try to manipulate the child to be obedient, to be a good, a good person. If you're a good person, you'll get presents. You'll be shown love if you act and do what I say. You will be given love, because we teach children that, oh, when we give them presents, we love them, and, oh no, you're not being good, so we won't give you presents, and kind of take away that love in that sense. And that's kind of how we associate gifts and love. Is a huge part of our culture at the moment. Like, do you think God has a naughty list? Do you think God's got this list of, here's the good people and the bad people? It's like, or do you think he understands why we're naughty, and wants to lovingly educate us to understanding why we should be kind and be loving? It's like, what God characters, Santa Claus becomes almost a God character to children. He's this mythical thing that can just come down chimneys and fly around the whole world in one day, and he's got a naughty list. Like, what are we teaching children? That becomes a God figure in their head, in the archetype of God to some degree, a God, like a lowercase gods, like a Viking gods type character, but it's still an archetype in our humans to seek some figure like this. There are parents that I speak to that aren't that bothered about it. Yeah, I'm not that bothered. When they work it out, they work it out, or at some stage I'll speak to them, but they don't want to be the parent whose child at school is the one that tells you the kids. And I think that's, I mean, do what you want. I want to speak on this and be non-judgmental, but I think my judgment is gonna leak through. So forgive me if it does. I wanted to speak on this and kind of just a neutral perspective, unbiased observation of what this is, right? But having said that, I think it can be a bit of a cop out to just allow your child to believe a lie because you just don't want to be the one to rock the boat, to be the one at school whose child tells you the kids. It's still a lie. It's a lie of omission. Just because that's what a lot of people think as well, that if they just don't tell, they're not lying. They're just not telling the kid the truth. that's a lie. If they're believing into it and buying into it, and they've got an emotional attachment to it, and you're allowing them, like cheating in a relationship and not telling the partner, they've got an emotional attachment to believing that you've not cheated, but you have. It's still a lie of omission. It's still a valid lie. So I think to not be the one to rock the boat, if everyone that felt that way just said, let's get it over with. It might be a third of people might feel that way, or half the people might feel that way. There are people who are you might be in a relationship listening to this, and your partner loves the story of Christmas or the story of Santa Claus, and you're not that bothered. You want to tell your child, but your partner's like, no, in my household we had this, and it's like, you can create a new tradition. You can still have Christmas and have Santa Claus and not lie about it. You can still say it's a made up story. It's just a bit fun. Children love to play into, stories and fairy tales. Just bring them in on the joke, man. Just bring them in on, like, it's just harsh. They're not even in on the joke. That's part of, like, if someone lies to you and there's a group of people lying to you, and then at some stage you found out they all just were in on it and you weren't in on it, and they just allowed you to believe that. You're just like, what? Like, there's a feeling of, like, maybe a closeness that feels false then, that I think children go through. They may not be able to verbalize it at the time they realize this stuff, but it doesn't mean that emotionally it's not there, Sorry, I've got some notes just to keep me in a flow. Like, I'm speaking because I want to speak on behalf of children and of the truth. Like, two things that I value highly. Like, two children and the truth. Like, who doesn't value them, right? We're going against both of them with this lie. I feel like we're working against them. We're treating children as though they're not intelligent, and that, like, that life isn't magical enough as it is. That life doesn't have, like, so much beauty and wonder that we have to make up this one peak lie. Like, this is a peak lie in our culture. Like, a peak moment of the year is Christmas, built around Santa. Like, what's the real story of Christmas? Well, it's Jesus's birth, man. Like, hooray, jubilation. Like, a man came to help us, to spread truth. And it's become, I don't need to say this point because this is the obvious stuff, right? It's become the commercial enterprise that it is for businesses and sales. And Santa is a huge, huge, what do we even say, whale in that commercial enterprise to exist. How many dads buy Santa's presents and then have to buy their own present as the dad, as well as Santa's present? Mothers as well, but I just know lots of dads do that as well. Like, buy the Santa presents and then, well, what are you going to get them? Well, I got them Santa's gift. No, like, that happens. Santa is a huge part of the plan, the scheme here. How intentional or not, don't know. Doesn't really matter, but it is huge part of the crux of the lie to kids, to make this one time of the year feel magical when it can be magical anyway. Every season has its magic. Every month can have its magic. Like, the Celtic calendar's got 8 seasons, not 4, because there are even more, like, incremental changes in nature. You can see every month you'll see changes, but at least the 8 Celtic are all pretty clear changes. The quarters in between the quarters of the seasons, But every day, and with children, every day. Like, every day can be filled with magic and make believe and stories without them having to be, not involved in those, knowing that they're made up at that time. Like, they literally believe this. I remember the moment I discovered my mum's hand under my pillow to give me money from the tooth fairy, and I was like, knew it. Like, I caught you 2 a.m. or whatever time it is that you're sneaking in. And I've knew it. I sensed it from the last time. Like, why lie to me? And I felt like I lost some connection, some closeness of, like, oh, I thought we was like buddies, and now you lie me about that. Like, that's weird. yeah, I don't remember the Santa Claus realization. I guess I do. I think it like creeps up over a few years. It's like, how's this popping up here? Okay, okay, I worked it out. And then I think you just don't even really mention it or you don't act hurt, but I think it's there. I think you feel it. I think most children do feel it as much as parents want to think that it's just like a growing out of phase, you know. And it's not like, we all think truth hurts, but it's never the hurt, it's never the truth that's hurting. It is the lie that's leaving, that's coming out. It's the thorn being pulled out. It's not the thorn being pulled out doesn't, I mean, it hurts, but it's the thorn that's in that's the problem. So we have to get it out. And it's that moment of ripping the plaster off that hurts, but it needs to be done. Why are we putting thorns in? Like, we're literally putting thorns in to be removed at some stage. Like, for the error to leave and the pain of the error leaving to be felt. Like, we're choosing to do that and give up our own power and give up our own relationship and our own respect and on so many levels. I don't think lies are okay. No. Whether it is this tooth fairy, whatever it is. And I think children deserve more respect than this. Children are literally like the most inspiring people to me that I meet. They are like closer to God's intention for what it is for a human to be in so many ways. They are purer, carrying around less emotional baggage than most adults that are leading this stuff and and taking us off on this track. They may not be masters at anything, and they may have naiveties and gullibility, but they are intelligent. And to disrespect that naivety with things like this is an unloving way to take advantage of it. I think is our duty, like as adults, to teach children about life. At the moment, they're teaching me more about life than I can teach them. I think I'm learning like how to learn. As an adult, I literally got worse at being able to learn stuff. And we just think that's age or whatever. And I don't think that has to be the case. Like, we just go, yeah, I'm old, and like we get to 18, get a job, and we just stop learning stuff. Like, I don't think that's the intention, is that we just, I think we're meant to continue to learn and want to learn and have a yearning to learn. And so this is one of my greatest discoveries from children, is like how to learn again, like how to apply myself, how to not judge myself if I'm shit at something. Like, I'm trying to learn instruments or something. I've not drawn or anything yet. That's something I do, but like, okay, how does my 5-year-old nephew draw? He just draws the same thing over and over. No judgment, move on to the next page. Okay. Oh, they play with this for 15 minutes and they move on. They'll do a class once a week. It doesn't have to be every day. You can do something once a week for half an hour, for an hour, and still improve. Like, I'm observing this. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, they are closer to the design. They want to learn a balance. They want to practice balance. Children want to do balance challenges, but we don't really program balance into our training, into our gym work. We don't, not many people choose balance. It's fun. Like, it's wired in us to enjoy a balance challenge when we train. I've learned this from children, that it's wired in them to want to try to, you hold their hand as they walk across the wall. They all want to do it. Pretty much all of them want to do that. That's something programmed into them to improve their balance so that it can then carry over to having fun and being able to dance and move their bodies and stuff. But we don't, you know, there's so much to learn from them when we're not pushing our own desires and attachments and beliefs and injuries on to them. If we like that, they deserve respect, and it's our duty to at least try to be honest, teach them as much as we can how to, be loving and kind and honest and have good morals and honor and integrity. What are we teaching them about integrity and morals and truth with something like this? Like it's just, it's, you know, oh, it's okay. It's okay that I lied about Santa Claus. You don't lie. You better not lie to mummy. Better not lie to daddy. But it's okay. It's just a way. You were so happy. You were so happy when you believed in Santa. It made you happy. Happiness based of a lie is not really happiness, is it? Like it's just not. It's not. It's not a nice thing. I don't think you can still enjoy Christmas. You can still have the story of Santa and not lie to the child. Thanks for watching.